Hey there, it's Sheryl, mental toughness coach, published author, speaker, and mother to a couple of amazing kids who happen to be high school and college student athletes. Today we're going to talk about how teens can level up before an important event. I'm going to give them 3 tips on how they can level up and get some composure before an important event, whether for academics or for athletics, so they can do their best. So do you have a teen who has ever prepared relentlessly for an exam or a competitive event and just showed up for a big fail? I know I did as a teen, actually many times, and it was really awful. It's understandably very frustrating. It's important for teens to understand that elite athletes know how to show up and perform under pressure and dominate. The reason why is they have a pregame plan. They know how to level up before an important event. There's a couple questions that teens can ask themselves so they can level up before an important event too, so they can do their best. First, they can ask themselves, how are my emotions? Elite athletes typically perform their best when they're calm and carefree. When I mean carefree of the outcome of the event. So carefree of the outcome of an exam or the outcome of a competitive event. If teens feel fear, anger, frustration, their ability to perform is really compromised. So teens can try the next couple things in order to get a hold of these emotions. First, they can take some deep breaths in, breaths for a count of 4. You can inhale for 4 and exhale for 4. When they're exhaling, they can think of their favorite color or maybe just listen to the sound of their breath. I know this sounds a little silly because of course they're already breathing, but this is a little bit different way than they're breathing, and it's just them taking their time a little bit more, and it helps them get refocused. Second, they can learn to compartmentalize their emotions. If they're feeling fear, anger, or if they're really, really nervous, they need to understand that it's okay and completely normal, but just not for right now. They need to have a plan in place to deal with those emotions a little later. So essentially, they're just asking the emotions to move out of their way a little bit. And if all else fails, they can do something called thought stopping. So when an emotion is not really helpful to them, they can tell themselves out loud or to themselves, or they can write it down, whatever is appropriate, just to stop. And then they need to ask themselves, what do I need to do right now to do my best? The second question they can ask is, how is my focus? Elite athletes are intensely focused and very deliberate on how they want to compete. So they always focus on the controllables and what is very and most important to their event. They're very, very deliberate on 1 or 2 things. Again, they're deliberate, but they keep it simple. 1 or 2 things that are the most important for their event. They understand that executing is more important than winning or the outcome. So that's really, really important here. Teens need to understand that the more near term and the closer they get to a competitive event, whether for school or their sport, they need to have some control and they need to let go of everything else. That leads me into another point, which is they need to assume the desired result or outcome will happen. So they need to just put it on a shelf and assume it's going to happen. There's no stress or worry or doubt. They just assume that they're going to do great or however they want to do, and then they're just going to go ahead and put it on a shelf and not worry about it. And again, in the near term, they need to worry about what they have control over. And lastly, teens need to ask themselves, how is my energy? Typically speaking, teens need to have their energy around a 6 or a 7. So they need to be very alert and a little bit excited, so not too sleepy or not too calm, but also not too excited or too worried. So they need to really be around a 5 or a 6, but this is really personal to them. So in this case, they need to do a little bit of homework and really think about what energy level is their ideal on a scale of 1 to 10, and then they need to check in with themselves and do what they can to get there before an important event. That's a really important part of how to level up. So if teens can understand and ask themselves, how are my emotions, how is my focus, and how is my energy, they will really have some control over how to move the needle and how to perform their best, especially in high pressure situations. I really appreciate you taking a few minutes to watch this. I hope it was helpful. I encourage you to share on Facebook And also, please do pass it along to at least one other teen or parent of a teen, so hopefully it'll help them in some way as well. I look forward to seeing you next time.